So yes, my name is Reina Montenegro. I am a self-taught chef. I do have a restaurant in Brisbane, California. If nobody knows where that is, no one does. 5 minutes from San Francisco Airport. So we're there. We're only a takeout place, but we are open Thursday to Sunday. And if you, shameless plug right now. Instagram, yeah, I don't know if you can open it now, but chef.reina, you can see a lot of thirst trap photos that are food related, some of them. But yeah, so thanks so much for having me. I wanted to tell you my story about how I came here. I landed in 1997 from the Philippines. Let me give you the slide here. It's my introduction. So this is where I'm from. You know, little island there. It's called Negros, from a city called Dumaguete City. Now, I'm just a small town girl. I'm not gonna start singing. You know, Filipinos are known. It's like either you're a nurse or you can sing. And I think they forgot about me when that day happened because I can do neither. So yeah, I'm not gonna start singing. I'm from a small town. I saw America as, you know, through the lens of movies, really. Like I thought this is what America was in the movie. So to my disappointment, when I landed here in 1997, I thought I was gonna marry this guy. I was like, I'm definitely gonna marry the Legends of the Fall Brad Pitt, not the other versions, but this version right here. I was super disappointed, but I'm like, you know what? I have a backup. Top Gun, Tom Cruise. Not any other version. But yes, so this was my whole outlook of how America was going to be landed, and I lived in 19th and Mission when it was really crazy. I was, what am I thinking? I go over here, and this is not the America that I've seen in the movies. What's happening? No, but humble beginnings. I loved it. So before I go into my whole journey of how I got my business running and everything, I wanted to share with you guys why I turned vegan. This is because of this girl right here. That's my daughter, Sky. When she was born, she was already vegetarian. Her father was vegetarian, and she had this really bad skin issue. And we didn't know what it was. Talked to the doctor. Oh, everybody has skin issues, you know, like 3 out of 10 kids have it. And so one day she was really having an issue with her arms, having really bad rashes, and she couldn't move her arms. And I felt really bad for her. So of course, like any mother would do, if the doctor doesn't tell her what she needs to hear, she goes online and she starts doing her investigative work. So I went online and I went into the rabbit hole of what everybody does when you're online, right? You just look at every single bad thing that's out there. Worst thing ever. But I just read an article. I'm not sure. I tried to look for that article, but it showed how skin disease has a direct relation on consuming dairy, right? So then I was like, man, this could possibly be the cure. So I told her, you know what? You're already vegetarian. Let's just take out the dairy out of your diet and see what happens. And no word of a lie, 5 days later, the rashes were gone. And we've been dealing with these rashes for 5 years. So I went into the internet again, and I went down the rabbit hole of dairy, and then I came across all these documentaries about, you know, animal slaughterhouses and etc. And that night I turned vegan, 100% vegan. And mind you, I am a deep-fried pork knuckle eating Filipina, okay? I was like, what was I thinking? You know, am I gonna miss out on all these tocino and lechon, pork belly, and all these other things? You know, what am I gonna do? You know, and thank God, at that point I was already a caterer. I had catered for meat, you know, to these other big companies. And I was like, I refuse to miss out on all these things, you know, because for me, food is comfort, Food is my love language. I don't care about those other love language, honestly. Love, like, food is my love. Give me food, and I'll love you forever, you know. So I dedicated my 7 years when I turned vegan in 2016 to create, you know, I don't want to toot my own horn, but the best vegan food you'd ever have. I see this because 65% of my customers in the restaurant aren't even vegan. They just go because they love the food. I call myself, or they call me, a transitional vegan establishment, where when you have a tough time transitioning over to being vegan, it's good to go there first, because you'll have the same stuff that you'll have before, you know, like eating meat. So that's what I did. I dedicated my 7 years. So let me see, go back to my notes in 1 second. So that's what I did. When I was growing up in the Philippines, I would go to my grandmother's house, and I don't know, there's a lot of Filipinos here, but we would have fiesta every year. You know, every town would celebrate fiesta, and it's like celebration. And we would cook like all these food, and at 5 a.m., you know, 5 a.m., I would hear squealing of pigs, right? Because the way we would slaughter it is we don't just kill them. We actually tie a rope in their legs and invert them, and then just get the blood out from here. So for me, when I would wake up and that squealing would happen, I'd be like, yes, we're having lechon today. Woohoo! You know, that would be like it, right? So I really never had an awake. It just kind of, it's this tradition. We've been taught that this is what we do, right? This is, I mean, why mess with tradition? And for me, when I turned vegan that night after I watched those documentaries, I finally had my awakening. And so now I'm definitely all in. I'm not just vegan for the health. I'm vegan for all, you know? So back to didn't want to miss out. So no one teaches you how to cook plant-based, especially in 2016. It was hardly any options at all. There was no egg, there was no milk, there was none of that. So I basically had to do a lot of R&D, had to throw a lot of things, you know, but I was determined to make it happen. So just watch. So I'll tell you another story. When I was this is why I went into cooking in the first place. When I was 9 years old in the Philippines, I was really, I don't know, it's really boring there. You know, you're just living in the ocean. You just get tired of it after a while. But I was 9 years old, and I said, you know what, I'm going to bake a cake. I'm going to start baking. I started baking this cake, and then I was so proud. I didn't know that you had to preheat the oven. I didn't know that I don't know the difference between baking soda and baking powder. I mean, what is that, you know? So I was just like, whatever, I'm going to just use whatever is there. So then I was so proud of the cake. It turned into this really gross, slimy kind of thing, right? So I presented to my parents. I was so proud of myself. I said, oh my gosh, I made my first cake. My dad started eating it. I knew it was terrible because he was just forcing himself to eat it. And my mom is a disciplinarian, Filipino women, you know, very direct. And so she was like, you're just wasting ingredients. What are you doing? You know, stop. Whatever this is, stop it, you know. And so my father eats it and just doesn't, you know, he told my mom, don't discourage her. She could be really good at this, you know. So I think that's part of why I'm so driven to be the best at everything. I'm not, but I dedicated my childhood into making the best cakes, and I got really good at it, I think. And so now this day, my mom still begs me to make the desserts that she loves, because I started, you know, I don't know why I told you that story. I just wanted to tell you guys that, you know, it can be done. There's a lot of very talented people here. And if somebody says, oh, you know, being vegan is so hard, it's just so hard to do. But you know what? There's a lot of resources online now that you can use to make your own food that used to be your favorite, and you just want it to be healthier. You just wanted it to be better for yourself. Okay. So, cooking became an escape for me, really. I mean, when I would go through a tumultuous time of my life, or I would see my parents arguing, or if there's like a really, I know, broken hearts. My brother used to call me the president of the Broken Heart Society, because I would always have my heart broken for some reason. So every time that would happen, I would bake. I would bake the most beautiful cakes when I'm sad. It's a kind of a joke now between my friends. It's like, oh, she's baking. Yeah, she's sad. If she's cooking real food, she's not really that sad. She's happy. But yeah, so that turned into my kind of my refuge, you know, as a kid, and until now, I go there and I do my mad scientist stuff, and I create something crazy, and I sell it at the restaurant, and they love it. Thank God. It's like, phew. So I didn't want to skip the part where I bought my first restaurant, which was the worst idea ever. So if you guys are thinking of buying a restaurant, it's a really hard business, you guys. Don't do it. So I basically cashed in my 401k and bought my very first restaurant in 2016. At that point, I wasn't vegan yet. So I used my 401k to buy it. A year later, I became vegan. So I bought a meat-heavy restaurant. I'm talking pork blood, all these things, right? Dinuguan. That was like one of their big things. Skin, crispy chicken skin or whatever. A year later, I was like, what am I going to do? I am a chef, you know, I'm the one cooking here, and I'm selling. It just didn't align with my belief system. So restaurant went down, was making barely $50 a night, and it's just not sustainable. And so I had to make a choice. Either we close the restaurant and just say goodbye to my 401k investment, or we change it to vegan, right? And I was playing with the idea for so long. Finally, in 2017, I'm like, F it, you know. I'm going to do it. I'm going to change it to vegan. I'm going to create this menu, and it's not even going to be Filipino. It's going to be, there's some Filipino items, some American, some world cuisine, blah, blah, blah. So, no word of a lie, somebody got word about it. We went viral. That Friday we opened, there was a line out the door in the ghetto in Daly City, where like people's cars got broken in. They would go anyway because they wanted to try the food. And we made about $2,500 that every night from then. And it saved my restaurant. And I literally sat down in the corner of my restaurant that night and I cried my eyes out. Because, you know, there is something to be said about aligning your values to what you do in life. You know, I really believe that. Like when you're not aligned, it just doesn't work, you know? So again, I don't know why I told you that story. Let's go back to the food. So after that, I opened 3 more restaurants, went through some personal stuff, and I decided after 2020, COVID hit us really hard, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to close all these restaurants and like focus on opening as myself, as Chef Reina in Brisbane, and this is where we are now 4 years later, I believe, 2021, 3 years later. So, that's it. Where's my slides? So I'm going to go through, since I have to go through the nutritional effects of being vegan. Let's see. Yeah, the basics. So it's really hard to understand when you're not vegan. Like, how can I eat now? Like, when I told my mom I was turning vegan, she said, so you're just going to eat salad? I was like, yeah, Mom, that's all we eat is salad. That's it. No, so I wanted to, you know, like my mom, just read the label. So let me give you an example. Like, most breads are actually vegan. You know, you just read the labels, making sure they don't have eggs or milk. So the easiest thing to explain about veganism is what it is nothing from, no animals and nothing that comes from an animal. So if you think about it, right? So you're thinking about milk and eggs and all these things. Just read labels. So substituting animal products, you're like, oh, how am I going to have my eggs in the morning? How am I going to have cereal without milk? So the basics is bread, milk, eggs, dairy, and so look at all these, right? Like if this was in 2016, guys, I would be like, I totally sympathize with you. There's nothing. You got to make your own butter. I'm so sorry. Or make your own mayo. Now, look at all this. Some of them are not my favorite, but, you know, some of them are. So we could talk about those after. And then see the egg. My favorite is the just egg. They've really come a long way. And it really is like egg. So good. So now, the favorite question of all plant-based people. But where do you get your protein? Like, every time I would date a guy that says that, I'm blocking his number. Immediately. Like, do you read? Come on, you know. So yeah, I'm blocking you right away if you ask me where I get my protein. Just FYI. So let me just, here, look at all this. Can you read it? So many. I'm going to let that sit for a moment. But yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of places you could eat protein. And I'm going to expand on this in a second. So basically, when you take meat, or any kind of meat in your house, right, you still have to flavor it, right, to make it taste good. So just think about that. So when you're using tofu, you're using lentils, you're using soy protein, any kind of meat alternative, you still have to, you can still flavor it like you would flavor meat. So that's how my thinking was when I turned all my dishes vegan. So you still have to add salt, pepper, seasonings. You have to, but for us, for me, what I've noticed is we need a little bit of a flavor kick because, you know, these tofu, they're not as flavorful. So you add mushroom powder. You add there's veggie chicken bouillon now. There's veggie pork, veggie beef. So there's so many things you can use for umami flavors, you know. If you wanted it to taste like fish, you can add kombu. You can add seaweed. I mean, there's just so many things, you know. So most spices are vegan. So you just have to read the labels to make sure. So it could be a challenge, you know. I love challenges. Unfortunately, that's like I strive on chef. Like somebody says, "Oh, you can't do that." Oh, what? What do you mean I can't do that? I can do it, you know. But yeah, so that's what you use. That's what I use anyway. The seasonings. There's so much more that you can use, especially nowadays. You can really go crazy. So yeah, you know, balancing the flavors. Very boring, but yeah. So now I'm going to showcase some of my signature dishes. I hope this is the correct slide. Yes! So this is my chicken katsu. Very proud of it. With a side of mac and cheese. Yes, we eat mac and cheese. We eat mac and cheese. And with rice, because carbo loading is our business, Filipinos. Right? This left side is the ube pancakes. And that's a massive burger that I made. So good. It has cheese inside. And then I decided to do, you know what, Wingstop. My kids love Wingstop wings. I can do that, right? Look, I got the barbecue, lemon pepper, and buffalo. So lechon is the pork belly right there on the left side. And I have a loco moco on the right side. Is anybody hungry yet? Philly cheesesteak. Okay? So I make my own meats. Those meats that you see the seitan that uses, I don't buy it. I actually make those from scratch. And this is my pride possession. Proudest moment of my life. Braised pork belly. Took 36 hours to make, 7 days. 36, 7 days, yeah, 7 days. Basically, I made that out of nothing. So there is this method called wash flour, where I took flour and extracted gluten from it, and then I manipulated that gluten so that it will taste and look like pork. And it's This took me so long. I'm probably never going to do it again. But I'm just trying to tell you it can be done. I mean, there's probably way smarter people in this room right now than I am. But this is also what brunch looks like at my restaurant. We have the birria tacos. We have the pancakes, the lumpia, 2 kinds. Lumpia Shanghai, which is pork, and the vegetable lumpia that's made of vegetables. And then there's the skewers on the right side there, top. It's my favorite. So, let's break the myths about veganism. And one is we lack protein, but I already showed you that we don't, right? Next, we are lacking of B12, iron, calcium, but the fact is we can actually get those from beans, lentils, broccoli, and fortified plant milk. Interesting. They say we're deficient in omega-3 fatty acids, but yes, it is commonly sourced from fish, but we can get it from flax seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, walnuts, and algae-based supplements. Well, it's another myth is like vegan diets are boring. Now, with the food I just showed you, was that boring? That's not even a third of, that's not even like a pinky of what we sell at the restaurant. We have like so much. I have a crab cake Benedict that's amazing, and my mouth's watering right now. Vegan diets are only for environmental and ethical reasons? Nope. They're actually not. They're for everybody. They're expensive. No, they're not. They're not expensive. Not anymore. They used to be. And then this is my favorite one. Vegan diets are not suitable for athletes or bodybuilders. Who is this? My favorite athlete, Colin Kaepernick. He actually came to my restaurant and ate there. I died. I fainted like a few times. He just didn't even know it, okay? He was there with a bunch of people, and I didn't even know that he was there. Someone just told me. He's like, hey, do you know you have a famous person in your restaurant? I'm like, who? But yeah. This guy is totally vegan. Awesome. This man here, you're probably going to tell me, oh, wait, what am I doing? Hold on one second. This guy, you're probably, they're athletes, they have chefs, they have like personal trainers and all these things, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, this guy's actually, you can stalk him on Instagram later. But he's also an influencer. He has a documentary coming out on February 1st called They're Trying to Kill Us. It's another vegan documentary. And he is actually my personal friend. He's awesome, and he's vegan, and look how he's huge. And here's my best friend, who's like, my oldest son anyway. He is, really. He's also 100% vegan, and he does not cook. He doesn't do anything, but he survives in this vegan diet. So, like, there's no excuses at this point. So, next, the health benefits. What are the health benefits? Let's take a look. All right. Why? I mean, it's just so boring. You guys can actually Google these things. You really can. I mean, if you Google it, you see everything. Why, blah, blah, blah. And here's another one. The benefits, your blood pressure. Okay, let me tell you a story while you're reading that. I have this clinic that I go to. I pay a certain amount of money every month, and it's very fancy. It's very high-tech. I go in there, and you basically go into this apparatus, right? And they scan your entire body, and they take blood, they take everything. So I do this once a year, physical, and I come from a line of very unhealthy family genes. My father has been drinking medicine so his cholesterol doesn't go crazy, high blood pressure. My mom's the same thing. My brother, who's 2 years older than me, is also taking meds. They call it maintenance. I don't know if you guys know. They call it maintenance so they can still eat the food and then just drink the maintenance, So my doctor comes when I was waiting for my results, he comes at me, he pulls up my results on screen, huge. I was like, oh my gosh, I probably have to take, I'm scared because I have genes and all these things. And he comes over to me and he's like, I was on the fence about being vegan. Now I think I'm going to be vegan. I said, why? He said, because you are the trophy of great health. And I think that I'm not even a healthy vegan, guys. I'm Filipina. I like deep fried things, you know? But the fact that I don't consume meat, I guess helps. So I can show you all these, studies and research, and you can look it up yourself. But for me, it's actually from experience. I'm really talking to you as a person to person, and I just wanted to tell you guys that you are what you eat. So what you put in your body is what's going to come out. So I have a friend who had diabetes, and he turned it around without taking any medicine. So it really is, you want to live if you don't. So I get a lot of haters that say to me, well, Filipino and vegan, that's an oxymoron. Or like Filipino and vegan, like that's like a contradiction. Like you're like disgrace to our culture, I've had that, trust me. I've had that many times. But what I say to them is, I'm not really taking your culture away from you. I'm not taking it from you. I'm just taking it and I'm creating a healthier version of it and giving it back to you because I want to save your life. That's all I'm really here for. And I'm really not that vegan that shoves anything but my belief system down your throat. I don't do that. I'm not even the one that, goes to the front of the lines putting placards up. I don't go to Safeway and put some blood on me and say, do not eat me, don't kill. No, that's not. I really do not. I do it silently, and I do it through food. And food is my culinary activism. And I just want to make good food that's good for you. And I think that you can do this for you, too, and your family. I feel like if you do it for only maybe once a week or twice a week, that's huge, huge benefit to yourself. But I'm not a preachy vegan, so I'm not going to do that. Yeah. So, where am I? The benefits. Okay, now, this is interesting. So interesting. All right. I was in this Netflix documentary called You Are What You Eat. I don't know if you saw it. I have 1 minute, 20-second fame. That's my 15-minute of fame, I think. So this is really interesting to me because I know a lot of people, and you know what? I can't confirm or deny that I've personally tested this. Cannot confirm or deny. Okay, guys? Don't quote me on that one at all. So my personal friend, actually, she was part of this experiment when they did the You Are What You Eat. So they did this test where they showed the twins a very boring video, like birds or something. And then they had put like some kind of apparatus to check the blood flow down there. And and then they showed them some pornographic, video. And the results were, look at that, 383% increase in women. And this is not just somebody saying, oh, by the way, it may do this. They literally did a study. Stanford University did this, right? So I don't know if anyone cares, but I mean, when I'm looking at you guys, you're pretty young still, right? And for the men, don't worry, I didn't forget about you. In men's sexual performance, research noticed it showed 8% increase in erection hardness and 300 to 500% increase. Oh my God. As I said, I cannot confirm or deny. I have personally tested. Cannot. But I'm just saying, they did a study of these 3 men. They were athletes, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, during the Game Changers documentary. They did one person eating vegetarian, one person eating meat that night, and then only for one night. Okay, this is not even like a prolonged thing. One person eating vegan meal, and they slept, all 3 of them. They did a whole study thing, and that's what happened. So yeah, just saying. It's a win-win, guys. It's a win-win. I mean, it's Valentine's Day tomorrow. Come on. Everyone's gonna call their husband, their wives today, and they'll be like, "Hey, can we eat vegan tonight so that tomorrow?" I mean, you can't really. I mean, this is a study. This is tried, So anyway, let's get rid of that slide. So anyway, so these are the suggestions. I really like What the Hell. It's a friend of mine directed this movie. Forks Over Knives is one of the ones that really got me to turn vegan. And the last one, my favorite, because I'm in it. Oh my gosh. You Are What You Eat. The best thing about this documentary is because it's not just kind of a hearsay. It's not people saying it may or may not. It's not like just people throwing out their opinions. This is actually a study that Stanford University did of 8 twins, because twins have the same DNA, and they tested their stool, their everything. They did all the studies, and you can't really deny facts. And so that's my absolute favorite documentary. You should watch it. It's fun. It's fun. So I think that is it. I think that's all I have. So anyway, again, shameless plug, Instagram. Thank you so much for having me. I know we're going to have Q&A. We have food after, which is the tocino, the lumpia, and the pancit. So hopefully you'll like it.